Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Abad Singhal,
Yes, sir.
give a brief introduction about yourself.
Yes, sir. As you said, my name is Avar Singhal. I hail from a small town in Punjab called Fazilka. I did my high schooling from Raipur, Chhattisgarh. Then after, I did my electrical power engineering from IIT Delhi. At IIT Delhi, I was a part of Dramatics Club. I got elected as General Secretary, Board for Cultural Activities. Then after, I joined a management consulting firm called BCG. I am currently employed there. As a part of my current project, I am working with Government of Rajasthan State Education Department.
So you're still with
BCG.
that company, is a consulting firm,
Yes, sir. It's a management consulting firm.
Boston Consulting Group. Okay. Abad, tell me one thing. You are well placed in a good consulting firm, must be getting a good salary also. Why do you want to leave this firm and join civil services, even though the salary is limited in civil services?
Sir, that's a question my parents also asked me. 3 years of experience at BCG has taught me that money matters only to some extent. After that point of time, if you're able to satisfy your basic needs, I think money stops mattering, and then the work is very important for personal satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
My experience in my current case with Rajasthan government gave me the opportunity to firstly interact with some of the brilliant IS officers who could make immense amount of change on the ground. I myself visited field and felt that there are so basic issues like water not available, people not able to get basic amenities like electricity, that I felt that my need is more there than being in a top company and crunching numbers. So I felt that it felt like the right thing to do, and that's why I'm trying to become an IS officer, sir.
So, if I have understood you correctly, you want to join the IAS per se, not civil services, just to serve the society, isn't it?
So serve the society, and there is an inherent motive that it gives me satisfaction. I've seen the issues in the system. I understand that it's not going to be all rosy. It's going to be difficult, but at the end, we have to choose the challenges that we want to take, and I think it seems like the right challenge to.
So you must have given IAS as your first preference,
Yes, sir.
isn't it? Suppose if you don't get into IAS proper and given some other central government services, will you still accept that?
Sir, I will accept it for the current term, but I will also again appear for my next.
Suppose eventually your dream doesn't get fulfilled
Yes, sir.
and you remain stuck to one of the central services like income tax or PNT finance or railways for that matter, then will you quit that job again to go back to private sector?
Sir, I haven't made that decision yet, but I think I will experience the government sector. It's working for a while, and if it suits my expectation, I will stay back. But if it doesn't, then there are multiple intermediate sort of options like BMGF, like MSDF, wherein you are in private sector, but you are exactly working on the
It
ground.
is happening in the government of India also, Abad, if you are aware. Government of India has taken a conscious decision to induct people from private sector at the level of joint secretaries.
Yes, sir.
And of late, I think 8 to 10
Yes, sir.
officers have already been inducted.
Yes, sir.
And that is getting expanded. More and more officers from the private sector will be inducted,
Yes,
just
sir.
to have a fresh intake of
Right, sir.
new experience. So remaining in private sector, working for a few years, then coming to government, that opportunity is always there with you.
Yes, sir. But at my current position, I felt strongly about joining the government. That seemed like a longer.
So apart from this, what have you learned in your life so far? In 2 years of experience, what have you learned in life?
in life. Sir, I've learned that nothing is going to be easy. Wherever I am, it's going to be challenging. You know, minutest of things start bothering. But whether you are able to take that challenge well or not depends only on the fact that whether you like what you're doing or not. In BCG, I came across multiple cases. There were some private sector cases, there were some public sector cases. But in public sector cases, you know, in the end, when I used to sleep or when I used to boggle my head with my team, it always used to feel like worth it. And that's what I've learned, that in life we have to choose the battles that we want to fight. And yeah.
Okay, that brings me to the final question. What is the ambition of your life or in your life?
So my short-term ambition is definitely to become an
I'm
IAS
talking
officer.
of the long-term, your vision of life and your ambition.
So professionally, I want to be in a position where I am able to serve the society and also earn a decent money to sustain my family. Personally, I want to be a person who is at peace with what he's doing. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You are senior associate, huh?
I am senior associate
Senior
at
associate.
BCG, yes, sir.
Okay. So tell me about your 5 achievements as senior associate.
As senior associate. So I worked with government education department and worked with principal secretary directly and was able to end-to-end oversee the merger of Ramsa and SSA in the department. My second achievement as a senior associate was that I was able to get promoted to the position and to justify the work. My third achievement as a senior associate was that I was able to guide my mentor, my new joinees in the firm to handle the day-to-day challenges, sir. So these are the 3 things that I'm able to think at the moment, sir.
Regarding your third achievement, it is generally done by all the seniors to motivate or inspire the junior ones.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Subordinate one. No problem. You are originally from Raipur.
No, sir, I'm originally from Fazilka, Punjab.
From Fazilka, Punjab. Yes. Oh, so it's a travel from Punjab, Fazilka, then Raipur, and then Gurgaon.
Yes, sir.
So how was your experience of these 3 areas?
These 3 areas, sir? So I feel every area has something new to offer. The first experience was that, you know, when you move to a new city, you have to adapt, you have to make new friends, you have to get used to everything. So that change of cities has made me adaptable. Then cultures vary quite a bit. You know, here in Punjab, it's all very loud and very friendly. In Chhattisgarh, there are division in the society in terms of some between the tribals and the non-tribals. In Gurgaon, it's all very professional. People don't talk much. So yeah.
You have been in Gurgaon since 2016.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now you are familiar with Haryana, its economic development, industrial development. Industrial development is there.
To some extent, sir.
Also, it's one of the important producers of food grain, automobile industry. So many things are there. Now, can you tell me some important features or measures taken by Haryana government for economic growth or to develop infrastructure for economic growth? Some of the important measures taken by Haryana government.
So, as you said, firstly, they've focused on infrastructure development. If I compare Punjab and Haryana, I find roads in Haryana much better, and various studies point out that good infrastructure is the backbone of a good economy. Secondly, Haryana per se has benefited greatly by its proximity to Delhi. So it surrounds Delhi from the 3 sides. So Faridabad, Gurgaon, all these have cropped up well. And then they've managed the shift from agriculture sector to the industrial and services sector well. For example, if I compare Punjab with Haryana, Punjab still has 30% of its GDP as agriculture, from agriculture, but while Haryana only has 18%. So, sir, these are some of the measures that they've taken to pump the economy, sir.
Don't you find any discrepancy between the economic development and social development in Haryana?
So by that you mean the various indicators like women, women contribution, everything.
It has not corresponded to economic development.
So various aspects of, as we just discussed, that it is economically developed. Yeah, yes, sir. So, sir, in terms of women development, I felt that, you know, even though Haryana has progressed in terms of economy, but it still imposes the same restrictions on women that it used to earlier. When I visit my Masi in Sirsa, Haryana, I find that some of the families still ask their brides to have the veil on their head. The sex ratio is just 8:75, which is far below the national average. That is one issue. In terms of child development, I think they've fared well, to be honest. Kids from Haryana are going on to become great sportsmen. So even women alike. So there are some issues that needs to be handled. Yes, sir.
One last question, that is regarding Shaheen Bagh. Yesterday, Law Minister issued one statement that we are ready to talk to the protesters, but only to clear the doubts.
Clear the doubts.
Yeah.
So
tell me something on this. Your reaction.
On reaction. Sir, I'll take it one level higher. I think the protest emanates from the fact that people are not happy, or people at Shaheen Bagh are not happy with the CAA that government has brought in. So, sir, to that extent, it shows that there is a lack of communication gap at multiple levels. So, to that extent, this will help. Now, any changes in any country comes through discussion, through deliberation, and I think it is a step in the right direction to clear the doubts. And if it comes out that there are some glaring differences between the government and people's needs, then I'm sure that further such discussions will happen and it will bring more changes required.
But it has already been passed by Parliament. Can state legislature oppose it?
Sir, within the federal structure of India, and in the constitutional realm, state governments cannot. But we've seen states like Kerala and West Bengal's not implementing it, and the matter is pending before Supreme Court. So I think while in the current scenario, it is not within the realms of constitution, but it also gives us the opportunity to strengthen the federal nature of our country.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Awadh, your name is Awadh, has to do with Ayodhya.
Yes, sir.
Recently, government changed the name of Faizabad to Ayodhya. Do you believe that this name changing spree, the state government in UP and to some extent even the central government is on, is a welcoming step, or you believe that it's unnecessary actually?
So firstly, a democratically elected government is well within its right to change the name. But if you ask about my personal opinion, I feel that it's immaterial. If I were in that position where I have to take a decision, I would say that there are
better things to do.
Yeah, I think I'd rather focus on more pressing issues than changing a name.
Awadh, you're currently working with the consultant company which is active in the education sector in Rajasthan.
Yes, sir.
What actually ails Rajasthan education system, especially the girls' education?
Especially the girls' education. Sir, I'll break it into two pieces. First is what ails the education sector in Rajasthan, and then specifically related to the government. So related to the girls, what ails education sector is that we are lapsing at 2 points, actually 3 points. Firstly, the teaching and learning process in the classrooms are not happening as per the learning outcomes. By what? By that I mean that we focus on rote learning, we focus on clearing the test rather than ensuring that teachers are teaching the students clear learning outcome. Example, a student is able to do 10 plus 10, but if I tell him that there are these two notes of 20 rupees, he's not able to tell me that. So basically the competency is not there. Secondly, vocational education system is not up to the mark, because of which a lot of people who have more pressing economical needs at their home drops out early. So if the analysis show that 50% of the students drop out by the end of 12th class. And the third point of it is teacher training process. So we've seen that teachers are taught on multiple levels, but there is no accountability as to say whether they know what they are supposed to teach. Because of the scale of the system, there is no digital system currently in place which can assess this. Now coming specifically to the girl education part of it, it is very unfortunate, but I've visited some schools wherein there are registers which shows that girls are not coming to the school. So two major reasons which come out of the field. One is that they are asked to stay back at home and teach and take care of their younger beings. And then there are child marriages prevalent still in the rural India, and these two reasons keep females out of the school. Another reason, which was earlier a very major reason, which was absence of menstruation infrastructure, toilet infrastructure in schools, but now that has been taken care of to some extent in Rajasthan.
Okay, you mentioned that you're native of Fazilka.
Yes, sir.
There was this controversy of Abhor and Fazilka. There was a dispute between Haryana and Punjab for a very long period of time, where both claimed Abhor and Fazilka. Why exactly? Why both these states stake claim on these places, especially Fazilka?
Sorry, sir, I'm not aware.
No problem. You mentioned in your depth that you were active with the dramatics, and
Yes,
you've
sir.
been active with the theatre thing in IIT Delhi. Can you mention a few things in Indian movies which are direct influence of Indian theatre?
So a couple of things that I can think of are, theatre in its own self is more expressive. If you see the movie Tamasha, it has incorporated some elements from it. Then
But in general, almost every movie carries certain
moving
elements.
from theatre to movies is a very natural step. For example, if you'll see Nasiruddin Shah, Rachna Pathak, they were earlier theatre actors and then they moved to the movies.
That is understandable.
Yes,
But
sir.
I'm expecting the elements of Indian theatre system, traditional Indian theatre, that have graduated from theatre to movies, which are not there in any other part of the world.
So songs.
Songs
Yes, sir.
is the first thing that comes into our mind. Why songs are so important in Indian theatre?
Sir, I personally really like songs. They make the whole movie really
See,
entertaining.
you're not the
sir.
only one whose aesthetics is, hampered by the movies. But by and large, at mass level, we don't expect movies without songs. The world enjoy them.
Sir, I beg to differ here, sir. All my friends, or
as
people.
a theatre activist, you understand that songs were actually required because the stage was to be rearranged. The songs were originally, right from the Bharat Muni's Natya Shastra, we know that songs were given so that the stage can be rearranged for the next scene.
Yes, sir, that's an interesting point of view.
Requirement is no more there with the movies. But we still carry it from theatre to Parsi theatre to Bollywood movies. Shouldn't we get away with the things now?
Sir, if people enjoy it, let's just let it continue.
Right. Thank you.
Well, what is the relevance of and what is the status of non-aligned movement today?
So you mean in the international context?
Mhm.
Sir, I think I would have to agree that we are going through a tough phase in the international relations globally, where multiple countries are showcasing sign of polarization, sign of protectionism, and countries are being made to take sides. Maybe the poles have changed. So, for example, recently India had to break off its ties with Iran because of US sanctions. So in such a scenario, it becomes very important to reignite the non-alignment movement so that every country can take its decisions strategically on its strategic needs. Yes, sir.
So it's relevant.
It's relevant.
And what is the status?
Sir, I don't think I've read enough to be able to answer to that. So.
Okay. What could be the benefits of developing a sports economy right from village level and to block and district level and this way at all India level?
Pardon, sir, I missed.
What could be the benefits of
Sports economy?
grooming a sports economy?
Sir, a few things that I can think of is that it will promote a healthy lifestyle. Secondly, sports as an activity promotes teamwork and helps breaking silos and prejudices of caste, all of that, caste, religion. So it will also help in the communal harmony in the country. Secondly, a person who's fit, who's determined, will excel in any sphere of life. So it will energize the youth to participate, to excel in life in general, sir. And because we are energizing the rural youth, it will also help bring in more development in the rural areas, sir.
So, have you seen any centrally sponsored scheme in this direction?
So one of the schemes that resonate with it is probably Khelo India, but no specific scheme that comes to my mind is focusing directly on rural economy based, village based sports development. But I might be wrong. I'm not sure, sir.
You have played hockey.
Yes.
What is the status of hockey and our international status in this game?
Sir, in the recent Olympics, Rio Olympics, we stood 8th. In the World Cup, in the World tournament, we stood 6th, which happened in Bhubaneswar, sir.
As a consultant,
Yes, sir.
You could have noticed that Indian economy is slowing down more and more for last
Yes,
3-4 years. But all the American companies which are doing business in India are having faster growth.
Okay.
That's very paradoxical. American companies are growing in Indian economy, but Indian economy as a whole is slowing down.
Sir, assuming the assertion to be correct, because I'm not sure whether that's
Facebook, WhatsApp, Twitter,
Okay.
Amazon.
Sir, so these are two separate problems. Let's try to analyze them separately. Firstly, why Indian economy is slowing down? Indian economy, as per the recent national statistic NSO data, show that growth has been 5%, and it's also because of the lagging agricultural manufacturing sector. While all these tech giants like Google, like Facebook, they are all service-driven industries, and in services, even Indian economy is doing well. But we have to pump up the lagging agricultural and manufacturing sector to really see the flip. Yes, sir.
Are we being used by Americans against China? Have we become an instrument of American diplomacy?
No, sir. India's foreign policy has always been to take decision on its own strategic needs. While it might seem that India bent over under the pressure of US sanctions, but India's own economic resources were at stake. So we are not being used as an instrument against China.
So our relationship with China is based upon our own will or American will?
Sir, our own will, because as India's neighborhood first policy states that India has to have a friendly relationship with its neighbor, and China being the Asian giant that it is today, we can't ignore to we can't ignore China at all, and that's why we are having our strategic issues, but again, amicable, solvable issues with China. Yes, sir.
Okay, fine.
Awadh.
Yes, ma'am.
So you work in BCG,
Yes, ma'am.
and this abbreviation is also used for
A pharmaceutical company, ma'am. A pharmaceutical drug.
what it is. Can you name it?
I'm sorry, ma'am.
Which disease it is for? Which disease?
Sorry, ma'am. I don't know.
Okay. So you are working in Gurgaon. You will stay in Gurgaon.
So my job involves traveling to the client locations. So during the weekdays, I am in Jaipur, where we are working with the state education department, and on weekends I'm in Gurgaon, ma'am.
What is the reason of high crime rate in Gurgaon?
Ma'am, first reason that I feel is that infrastructure fallacies are there in Gurgaon. For example, in the night when me and my friends are traveling, you don't find proper light on the roads. Then you don't find enough number of police officials in the far off regions. In the cyber city region, you will find them, but in the far off region like sector 57 and all, you don't find them. And then there is a rampant amount of drinking habit that I feel that perpetuates due to probably proximity of cyber hub again, and most of the crime that I have witnessed or I've heard about involves liquor consumption somewhere or the other. So that's another reason, ma'am.
Okay. Have you heard about Suraj Kund Mela?
No, ma'am. Sorry.
So it's a very famous festival of Haryana.
Sorry, ma'am. I'll read about it.
Okay. Tell me 3 things that Haryana should improve. 3 steps Haryana government should take to develop Haryana.
Ma'am, firstly, it should empower its women. It should improve its sex ratio. It should enable them to break out of. Secondly, to develop more while ensuring that agriculturists have all the resources. Riding on to the NCR wave will be more helpful. Extending the Faridabad Gurgaon model to Sonipat will be flipping front. Third, ma'am, third would be to again, I'm sorry, I'm not able to think about it. Can I take a second?
Yeah, please.
And thirdly, it has, as you said, Suraj Kund Mela. After living in Gurgaon for 3-4 years, I never heard about it. It should promote its tourism. It should bring in more people inside and use tourism as an industry to promote its culture and economy, ma'am.
Suraj Kund Mela happens in Faridabad. So you have done Vipassana meditation.
Yes, ma'am.
So what is the concept of Vipassana meditation?
Ma'am, it involves 2 major processes. First is Anapan, second is Vipassana itself. The first process is to focus on your breath, to know yourself better, to be more focused. Second process of which is Vipassana, which involves looking at your sensations and being equanimous about them, whether it's a good feeling sensation, bad feeling sensation, but being equanimous. And that goes on to explain their philosophy that everything in life is neither good nor bad. It's because you feel that because of your sensations. So if you become okay with your sensations, you become okay with ups and downs in life.
Okay, let's take a situation. So you have cleared this exam and you are posted in a district as SDM. And your subordinates refuse to comply with you. They refuse to take your orders.
Okay.
So what will you do?
So assuming a general condition when my subordinates are not following my order, there are 2 approaches. One is to take a softer approach and another is to take a harder approach. I will start with the softer approach, whereby I will try to understand what their issues are, why they are not complying with the orders, even though they know that it could result into some disciplinary action, and will try to resolve them in an harmonious manner. But if it still not happens, to ensure that work gets done, I will have to take some disciplinary action, ma'am.
Like?
Like suppose they are not. Suppose it happens in the department that if someone is being called for a meeting or someone is
Not
given
coming,
a task and that person does not fulfill, you issue a U note to them to come and justify it. If then also they don't do it, you do something which can have some impact on their ACR, so they toe the line. But I think that works in a limited fashion. A harmonious approach is always a better approach, but if after everything it doesn't work out, you have to take the harsh methods.
Thank you, Awadh.
Awadh, you have also worked as General Secretary, Board for Cultural Activities, and
Yes,
then
sir.
again Secretary, Shivalik Cultural Secretary.
Yes, sir.
You tell me how funds were getting allocated for these organizations, cultural organization and all that.